and welcome back to Doctor Who Season 2, Episode 2, Tooth and Claw, where today, once again, I am joined by my brother Caden.
Good morning.
Oh, you had left. You didn't tell me you'd left the computer. Where, yes, Tooth and Claw is an episode, of course, about a dentist who lives in a town where, he's next to, like, a lab that's experimenting with time. So the thing happens where there's, like, those time anomalies, and they have, like, bubbles of time that move differently than the real world. And he does that thing in sci-fi where, he like gets his hands in one of the bubbles and they age really fast. So he has like super long fingernails and like they're all old. And the episode's about this dentist trying to like practice his dentistry practice, but because he has like freakishly long, like several inch disgusting fingernails. That's like an undesirable trait in a dentist. He claws up people's mouths and stuff. And yeah, the episode's about that.
What?
You didn't like...
What are you going on about?
Tooth and Claw. That's Tooth and Claw.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's not. It's actually the episode... Although I'd say that probably would be a more interesting episode than what it actually is. It's an episode, I think, that gets picked on almost the most out of the Season 2 ones. Probably not really for being the worst, but just for kind of being like, I don't know. You'll see. It's kind of like most of Season 2. It's like it's kind of there, But what we're actually doing is I'm looking for my virtual remote because I remembered we're gonna do the Blu-rays. We're gonna do the Blu-rays so we can get subtitles because the audio mixing has started to get really bad. But I forgot about that until 4 minutes ago, and for some reason, when I put the disc in, it just wants to play the Christmas Invasion, but like the end of it. And I can't. Where is okay? I think we might just have to go with the digital backup.
Oh. It's the search for treasure that makes the treasure rewarding.
There's a remote. I've used to use this all the time. You can't just use VLC Media Player. So I got this dumb, sketchy looking. It's not. It just wants you to pay. Look, Blu-rays suck, right? I may have a Blu-ray drive on my computer, but they're really big against anti-piracy. And even though it's literally like the easiest thing in the world to rip the file of a Blu-ray, it's extremely difficult to actually play them on anything but a Blu-ray player, which of course are like often really region locked, and so you can't play like disc from a different part of the world. Even on Windows, like it's I can't find it, Caden. I think we're gonna have to go with the other ones.
One day we'll have the disc set up in the same sense that one day all of the streams will be sped up or slowed down 4%.
Well, I thought you were gonna say we were gonna skip the episodes, but wow, and just do the talk. I could read. They released the scripts for the episodes. I could just like read the script, and we could do that instead. It's not like this episode. A big highlight is getting to hear David Tennant's doctor do a Scottish accent. Okay, hang on.
That would be a funny stream in of itself. Just recreate, like, what was it? Who did the Lord of the Rings with all their own sound effects?
Of all people, it was the Yogg's cast.
Yeah.
What Caden is talking about is something called the Foley Ship of the Ring, where they took the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings, the first one. They stopped for like COVID and legal reasons, but they took that. They removed all the audio. They just did the video track, and over the course of like a year, they redid the audio for the first half of the movie, but they started doing it in order, and they spent a month literally on like the first 5 minutes because it's this epic battle sequence, and they basically went insane. And it's like a crazy unhinged piece that gets like more and more crazy as it goes on. And they live stream making the whole thing. Alex and I kind of want to do something similar for the show Steven Universe, but
yeah.
The music has always been the big hang up, because you can play music. Actually, do you want to recreate a show exclusively, like the whole audio from a show that has a lot of music in it with your sick piano skills.
That would actually be really funny. Yeah.
I don't know why this hasn't clicked, but we actually do now have someone. I'm gonna talk to Alex about this. We'll.
It's true. I'm capable.
Well, there's a thought. But anyway, if you don't know what we're doing, it's basically this forever. We're not actually gonna watch Doctor Who. You've been cheated.
That's a part of this.
Oh shoot, I have my mouse in the wrong place. We are basically going to be recording an audio commentary track live. Yeah, done. I don't know why. You were saying you need a script for when we test the audio. I need a script for this.
You do.
What that means is I can't just stream like an episode of Doctor Who for legal reasons. So you'll see a blurred version, whoops, and the time bar once we get going. But yeah, there's not a link in the description. I don't know. Doctor Who, go find it. This is just for me and Caden to do stuff. I don't know. I wanted someone to watch Doctor Who with. And it's just getting worse and worse as time goes on. By the time we hit the 13th Doctor.
I want to see this explanation that you give, but
yeah,
what you did the first time we streamed and see how much it's devolved.
No, it was good the first time. But yeah, so there's the problem with Doctor Who, right? Is there are two different versions of Doctor Who. There's the original UK version and the original US version. They're the exact same episode. Well, okay. Sometimes the US version is cut a bit, but the one we're watching is in the ones that most streaming services have now are the UK version, but the US version of it is sped up about 4%. It's about, don't get me started. So yeah, if you get a little out of sync, that's why. We don't know what streaming services have what. I specifically am watching the complete David Tennant collection for, well, unsurprisingly, all of the David Tennant 10th Doctor episodes, which is like $20. It's been $20 forever and is usually on sale. It's amazing, but it's the US version, so it's going to be US speeds. And I also realized, believe it or not, Caden, this episode of all episodes, I realized that we haven't really introduced ourselves since the start of the 9th Doctor. Yeah, I know. And some people might actually be starting with like David Tennant or jumping on at different seasons.
Yeah, I mean, you can skip the first season. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. I think I judged those people in the Christmas Invasion, though, so I already covered those bases. But yeah, 2 episodes, if you somehow made it this far, not that anyone... no one watches this live, but they actually do get like a few dozen views. And I imagine those are people popping on and leaving instantly.
Wow.
But, so I have seen all of Doctor Who televised, bar a few of the missing episodes, just because I'm waiting for the animations. While they're still doing them, I just prefer the animations. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. I have 504 Big Finish purchases. I actually pulled that up before the stream. And they've gone back to the old website, so that's actually an accurate count. That's all I do all day is listen to Big Finish while playing American Truck Simulator. I'm a huge Doctor Who fan. When I go to sleep and I'm just sitting around, I've been writing segments of the script to ranking the Doctor Who's in my head. You're definitely getting probably that one, or like the master ranking video I'm going to actually start working on soon. I actually thought I'd rank the masters first, because there's less of them. I thought it would be easier and be a good practice run for the doctors, who are going to be harder. And like, no matter what I do, I'm probably going to look back at that video and go, what was that idiot thinking? But the masters actually, because of course it's a ranking video, you go in order from worst to best. But the explanations, I feel, have to move around a lot to kind of get at what makes a great master. And you really can't talk about the ideal master till number 1, because, that's kind of how it works. I'm like, that's actually going to be a harder video. And I was even trying to think of some of the ranks, but like I've ranked the 80s doctors relative to each other's. I've done a lot of thinking. Is the 3rd Doctor better than the 12th Doctor? Or is it... Yeah, that video is definitely going to start getting work. I mean, who knows how far it'll go, but you'll probably get that at some point. Uh, but yeah, because then I'll get to talk about. I know. I guess you're supposed to be introduced, but it'll also mean I can talk about like my bizarre Capaldi opinions, and I
Yeah.
can do a lot of the classic Doctors sooner than like 2 years from now. Because I think it's actually going to be interesting. Because I think I've got a lot of unusual opinions. If we've discussed, we haven't quite hit them yet. Like I think the first controversial episode. Well, I guess it's Girl in the Fireplace, but even then, like, season 2 has some, but we don't really get, like, a bizarre opinion from me for a little while. And you'll really see, it's probably gonna be the strangest Doctor Who list you've ever heard, but it's gonna make, no one's gonna like it, everyone's gonna hate, like, half of it, but it'll be interesting. It'll be what I hope it's all, like, just interesting takes that no one's ever heard.
Hopefully, you voice very often your differences between the mainline
They'll
Doctor
be
Who
like,
community.
and then they'll be like, what? You put Tom Baker there? It's like, I don't even know exactly where he's going, but like, honestly, no matter where I put Tom Baker, people are probably gonna complain. Yeah, I don't know, but I've got some stuff. Yeah, because they're weird. Kaden, you want to introduce yourself?
I am not. Well, okay, I'm a Doctor Who
Doctor
fan.
Who, vigorously.
But I'm a filthy casual.
You're a filthy casual.
I've I made it to like Dinosaurs in Space. We determined.
That seems to be the one where you
fell off. But I also recall watching like the first 2 seasons twice. I'm pretty sure. So I gave up initially at some point as well, but I don't know when. So
I think as a little kid you watched with me and Mom.
Yep.
And then you for some reason stopped. And then because I think I just wanted to keep going and you weren't as into it. But then you did get back into it after we dropped off because it went off Amazon Prime. We were forcefully evicted from the Doctor Who train.
Yeah, that was
and that's where I learned my lesson, always by physical media. I think you literally couldn't watch Doctor Who legally in the United States for a little while during the Matt Smith. Well, not unless you actually had cable, which I guess we didn't at that time. I don't know. But yeah, you're a disgusting casual.
I don't spend all day thinking about Doctor Who. Although recently, my roommate has started watching Doctor Who all the time, so it's like I can vaguely hear it through the walls most hours of the day. I don't really know too much of what's happening.
They're not actually watching Doctor Who. It's just this stream is ingraining it in your mind, and you think you.
I'm starting to hear things.
Yeah.
I like it, and I will. I'm like. You get the 2 different takes when you come to this stream. That's why we're the best. You get the pros opinions, and you get me, the casual, uneducated.
Well, we get you, and then what I think I can say without like totally ruining the experience for you. It's really This is a horribly designed stream. You should stop watching it immediately. But I'm just gonna end it. And then for like 2 hours after the episode, as long as now like 20 to 30 minutes before. Again, we could be halfway through the episode right now.
It's usually how it goes, yeah.
Yeah, it's getting longer. At some point, it's going to be like the first 15th Doctor review we did, where it's like 2 hours that we watched the episode, then it's 2 hours at the end. Tobied, I think, is how I'm going to say that. You liked Fezman. Fezman was good. I honestly, as much as I say I'm working on the Doctor rankings...
That's Smith?
Yeah, that's Matt Smith. He's gonna be hard. A lot of them are gonna be hard, and a lot of like I can rank the 80s ones 5, 6, and 7 next to each other. God, where do they go around like the others? Where does like Matt Smith fit with 5, 6, and 7? I don't know. Who knows. This is why I don't give scores out of 10, except for some reason when we review new Doctor Who, and then I complain about it the whole time. But yeah, I think we've probably rambled enough, haven't we? Tooth and Claw, do you want to guess what it's actually about?
Okay, see, we already did Cats.
Yeah, and you didn't really give a good answer. So I feel like you dodged the question. I'd tell you because I'm pretty sure you learn in the first 20 seconds, but I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
what
on
has
that.
teeth and claws?
The
Everything has
solution,
teeth,
I guess. Yeah,
but what
now
has
that- Now that you
claws?
put it that way, is Windows freaks out.
Cats have dinosaur. No, wait, not that. Whoa,
Dinosaurs.
not dinosaur. I
Whoa.
meant to say dragon. That was weird.
You were gonna say a cat. And now that I think about it, though, I'm not sure if Doctor Who's ever done a dragon. Not to spoil your answer. Probably because it'd be really hard. You know, especially in the classics. There's House of Dragons that has Matt Smith, Fezman. Does that count?
I'll
I
take
don't
it.
know. Give it. That'd be weird. Russell T Davies likes fantasy now, but he'll probably do a dragon. I don't know.
They wouldn't do back-to-back cats. They wouldn't. They wouldn't dare.
They wouldn't what?
They wouldn't dare back-to-back cats.
Cats.
Meow.
Why are we talking about cats? Oh, yeah, the hospital ones. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they wouldn't back-to-back it.
Anyway, I think let's gonna get started. So what we're doing, encoding overloaded, consider turning down video settings. It's a static image OBS. What? Okay, let me make sure the stream isn't about to die. OBS just threw a warning at me for some reason that the static image and audio we're streaming apparently was overloading it. What we're gonna do is we're going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, everyone's going to hit play. And that's going to be it. By the way, if you are watching the UK version, not live, I forgot to point out that, yeah, there might be a link to the description to the UK or US version one day. But if you're watching it live, it's the US version. If you're watching the US version and you have the UK version, even if you speed up or slow down the video by the 20% YouTube allows, that's pretty close, but you will still eventually fall kind of too far off. Annoyingly. Actually, let me check. I'm going to check one day if YouTube can let you just speed up or slow down by 25. I don't remember. I don't remember.
Maybe.
I don't remember. It's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Look, this has to start eventually. Okay. On go, everyone's gonna hit play. Oop, I hit play on accident.
Didn't say
Resting
go.
my head. Yeah, no. I inhaled and my fingers went down on the spacebar and it hit play. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. When do we hit Matt Smith, actually, now that I think about it? It's next year. Like, about a year from now, I think.
Well, this is a pretty opener.
Oh, it's because you haven't seen HD Doctor Who yet. It's good, but I like this era's Doctor Who, like, standard definition. Damn it. This season's quieter than the last one, right?
It might be.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
the mixing is as it is.
The episode of Star Trek I watched yesterday had villains that looked exactly like this. They
Monks.
weren't monks. I love the dramatic zoom.
Oh my god.
I like, because it's clearly just like some house or like monastery in England, there's something about this opener and the like fast cutting that kind of makes it feel like an indie or student film.
It's
just
comically
kinda weird.
dramatic.
It is comically dramatic. Written by Russell T Davies, this episode. Although that is pretty cool. I hate it when monks come and steal my house, though.
Just like this.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. There's one in the background, not doing
He's
anything, though.
standing there.
Oh wow. I like the random cut to the drowning guy.
I feel like in my head,
Yeah.
I would remember this.
It's not all about monks. I think the monks are done fighting now. That's
this is
it.
wild.
Done. I want you to bear in mind, by the way, as we watch this episode, last week, I think I said School Reunion was written by Russell T Davies. It's not. And Russell T Davies chose to write this episode instead of the next episode. I just want you to remember. It's the baby dragon. Oh my god, Murray Gold. Look, I've never had to... You can see the audio bar on the stream. I've never had to fiddle it with so much. And 9 was fine. Oh, can you talk a bit, Caden? I never actually set your audio levels.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
you're good. No, you're good.
Oh, well, I didn't even have enough time to think of something.
Yeah.
Well.
I just need you to make noises at about the maximum level you'll speak.
I don't know. If I get excited, I just might get louder.
That's perfect.
Okay.
Rose looks really young in that outfit.
See, I love this TARDIS, and it looks better in standard definition.
Oh, you get to see it in HD once or twice, and yes, it is absolutely built for standard definition. It's pretty good. It's just the main problem is there's no door to any other room in the TARDIS.
No.
Even though we've seen them. And I've seen other TARDISes. You know, like its main downside is that it's not some of the later ones, but it was it was the second one that ever really did something radically different like this. And yeah, it's a little simple because as you said, it's only ever supposed to be filmed in standard definition, so it doesn't quite hold up if you film it in HD. So, as you probably know, David Tennant is Scottish. If you've never heard him speak in his native accent, he has a Scottish accent. It's not this. So a lot of people like to say it's fun that David Tennant gets to use his natural accent. He's not. I've said this before, but what must be like the hardest acting thing is his career, is playing how a man with the native accent of the Doctor, like this posh British, would do a very, very good but not perfect Scottish accent.
I love it so much.
That's dedication. Also, he gave his name as James McCrimmon, which is the name of the second Doctor companion, Jamie, who is one of the best companions ever made. They got a whole gay thing going on. You'd love it. Maybe don't
Why
open.
did they bring the Queen on this mission?
Wait, why is she... What the heck is that shot? It's like she's not even in there. She had a weird spotlight superimposed. Yeah, look at that. No, but she picked that up. That has to... No, that's gotta be a body double, because they're so close up in the carriage as well. Sorry, what were you gonna say before we got totally derailed?
Why are they taking the Queen in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, well, they'll say. They're
Bit.
literally saying it right now. That was the explanation. Is that there was a train, and
naturally.
She's hiding from assassins. That's why. Because the assassins wouldn't expect her to take this. Or something like that. We talked over it. How have I never noticed that before?
trying to look up. This Queen's voice sounds familiar.
Ooh, I think she might actually be in classic Doctor Who. Now that you've said it, I've looked her up once, and there's something very interesting about her.
Okay, I don't think I know her.
Let me.
She sounds
take
like
a
I do.
look. I think she might have even been a companion. Okay. Yes, no, she is from the second Doctor story, The Faceless Ones, where she plays Samantha Briggs, who's like the woman, the girl who helps like the Doctor and Jamie in that story.
That's pretty cool.
Yep. Doctor Who alumni.
This bald fighting monk kind of looks like a older, skinnier Eccleston.
Well, I can show you an older, skinnier Eccleston if I just find a
I
recent
remember
picture.
that. Not the current, but take a look at him.
Ninth Doctor. No, not that. Christopher Eccleston, 2024. Open image in new tab.
Yeah, I mean, make him skinnier and bald. And the tinier ears. You can't put them side by side like that.
He's a bald old man.
I'm telling you, you'll catch a glimpse of it. At some point, you'll face a certain way and you'll go, oh, hey.
He's a bald old man from the northern Britannia region. Have they said the name of this place yet?
I don't know.
I'm waiting to inject my factoid, but this is the Torchwood estate. The family is the Torchwood family. And I promised you, Torchwood was the working title, or not the working, the production title for Doctor Who.
I did know that.
Because Torchwood is an anagram of Doctor Who. You can see it spelt on the video right there. And, yeah, that's so people wouldn't know they were making Doctor Who. That's what they did.
I had been told that before.
They liked the name because it sounds good, so they used it here, and they used it for the Torchwood series, of course.
It does look like a cat.
It's more of a dog, actually. And that in the background is a horse. I love orreries. Those little planet things.
I didn't know that's what they were called.
I swear the 8th Doctor or the 11th Doctor, one of them has this telescope in the TARDIS. It is really like sci-fi steampunk as far as telescopes go. I've always felt it an odd design. Like, it's gotta be from the movie or something. They just had it already. She is not happy. Neither is the Doctor. I don't actually know what that's from. I'm vaguely aware of like a British monarch saying, "I am not amused," but this is one of the problems of being an American watching Doctor Who.
Are there occasionally squealing mice or something in the audio of the show, or are they in my room?
There are mice in your room. I don't hear them over the mic, though.
Man.
We can deal with it later.
I didn't know if that was coming from the show.
Hopefully
It
they're
really
not
sounded like more.
overrun. Unless you're hearing the audio hum of my mic.
I don't know. There's been something shuffling around in the ceiling, though. I'm not gonna lie.
You probably have mice. There's wind that kind of sounds like a howl.
It might be.
That's
I can't
what
place
people
my ear
come
on
for,
it.
is they want us to try and figure out if you have mice. Oh, wait, no, there's birds. I heard it too.
Okay.
Or maybe it's in your room. I'd pause the episode, but you know. Okay, everyone prepare to pause so we can see if Caden has mice. Look, you came here for Tooth and Claw. No one loves Tooth and Claw.
Maybe I will.
Maybe you will. Well, not if we're talking over it. I like this shot, actually. That's a very nicely done. Almost looks painted, but in a good way. Like, it only would work in standard definition, but I do love that dusk Scotland, yeah.
The whole setting for this episode I'm really liking so far. Just visually.
Yeah, they probably literally went to, like, some castle, either in Scotland or just in Wales where they film. It is a benefit of being in the UK. You have a whole 2 islands to work with, but you can't go to Ireland. It's the rules. We don't know why, but you're not allowed. There's never been a Doctor Who episode set in Ireland.
Never.
Nope, for some... maybe, like, racist reasons back in the day, but now... You know, you wouldn't think so. In fact, someone asked on the Reddit, I don't remember what character it was, but it was in, like, Sudi Gadwa's first season, if that was the first, like, native Irish actor modern Doctor Who had. That's how, like, little they're represented.
Wow.
Give me the Irish Doctor, you cowards. Stereotypical... like, drinker, mouth of a sailor, Irish Doctor. The use of the manor house for filming is actually really effective. Well done, Rose. She just starts screaming, doesn't stand up, looks around. What was that just now? Maybe from like
the
the
side
back
profile.
of it, but it's just an old bald man.
Yeah, he's not 100%.
I love Queen Victoria's just like constantly so done with life. I think Queen Elizabeth, the modern one, would do some fun stuff too, where like they'd... I think there's an anecdote where they were dining with someone, you know, important because they're the queen, and she took like 5 breadsticks or something, and then handed them to the next guy who like didn't want to be, you know, rude, or like 5 breadsticks is weird, you know, that's a lot of breadsticks. So he took like 5 or 6 breadsticks as well, and then the queen picked up one of the breadsticks, turned to the guy and was like, "That's a lot of breadsticks. Are you sure you're gonna finish it?" And then went down and fed the breadsticks one by one to her dogs, so she only had like 1 left. There he is. I wonder why we've cut to this guy after Monsters. we should probably pay attention to this part. Angry monk. Yeah, in the background, blurry, he's sort of like Christopher Eccleston.
Terrifying back there.
He's great for, like, his role.
Oh, yeah.
He does remind me of Chip, though, like with the episodes back to back.
Hip.
The tattooed guy from the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
The things you miss when we talk over the whole episode. Have you figured out what it is yet?
A man who becomes an animal.
You
A
figured it out.
shifting werewolf. A werewolf.
There you go, you got it.
Easy enough.
Not a dentist at all. That was an outright fabrication. You know, thinking about it, it's always kind of funny. There's a fair few episodes where a villain's back in time, and they're like, the British Empire, I could take it over and give it purpose and conquer the universe. I'm like, true, but I think the British Empire already had the purpose of conquering the universe, you know? Hey, we're starting to bring back the big bad wolf for weird reasons. I think so starts a tradition of not letting go of Rose Tyler in season 1. Or like this random alien knows about the bad wolf because he's a werewolf, I guess. Sure, why not? Nonsense. What an outright wild speculation.
I cannot wait for this costume.
What? What was that? God, the audio. Why is the audio mixing so wild? Is it the Blu-ray collection? Like, I hope the whole David Tennant era isn't like this, because Eccleston was fine. Like, maybe it's not so bad individually, but I'm dealing with 3 audio tracks.
Yeah.
I could totally see a meta plot line where Christopher Eccleston comes back to, like, just mess up the BBC after they, like, blacklisted. Did we talk about, like, what the BBC did when Eccleston left?
No, I don't think so.
Eccleston was unhappy with, like, the production of Doctor Who. We felt there was some unethical stuff going on. We never know exactly what. But, so we reported to upper management. They did nothing, and so he left. after like the first season, which he was fully in his contractual right to do. And so the BBC put out a false statement, an outright fabrication quote that he was quitting because he got tired, which of course would make it harder for him to get work elsewhere. And then they blacklisted him so he couldn't work for the BBC, forcing him to move to America so he could actually get work, and seriously hurting his career.
Wow. Did not know that.
Welcome to why Christopher Eccleston is not in the 50th anniversary of the show. Yeah, that it's crazy the more you go into that. We can talk more,
Jeez.
but yeah.
This
Yeah,
CG on that scene after all this time, passable. Good. I like it. Not bad.
I was too busy thinking about Eccleston. I could see him like pulling off the mask and then it is Eccleston. He does have the sort of angry vibes. I mean, I kind of see where you're coming, not having seen Christopher Eccleston, like, you know, in the modern day.
Yeah. That was a pretty hard line.
He does good, though, in the role. Mr. Monk. That was his name. You know, I wonder if in the Blu-ray player I can actually just lower the music volume.
This feels like an American plot to a very non-American episode of, all right, everyone, let's grab our guns and just shoot this thing.
I guess it's old England, and it is the military and the Queen. They might have mentioned already, she's had like several assassination attempts against her life. So
Yeah.
she's that, like, they do explain why she has a gun, which, you know, for all I know, Queen Victoria actually did. I do find it
Monks with
weird,
guns are
though,
funny.
that they dress them like they're in prison jumpsuits.
Weren't we
Maybe
talking
that's-
about nuns with guns?
Oh, yeah, this is the nun. Look, there's so much potential for the nun with gun episode. We got monk
Fight a
with
war
gun.
against the monks with guns.
Yeah, but usually you get, like, warrior monk is a thing, though, you know, at least in fiction. Nuns with guns just doesn't exist, you know? It's antithetical to being a nun. You know, we'll get to it, but I've just clicked that I think part of this story might have been inspired by Norse mythology. Yeah, you'll have to keep an eye out for it. I'm sure as an expert of Norse mythology. I think this episode also has a slight filter over it, because it's a little almost sepia, but a little desaturated for the whole thing. I like it. Who's Father Angelo? Does he mean Monk, Mr. Monk?
I think.
Mr. Monk? That's the character's name. They were ready. Wow. Do you think there's 3 monks pointed at every window, or are they just that good?
They're monks, they know.
I can't remember if it's ever explained why the monks worship the wolf. It is a
Would be a
bit
good
of a
thing to
leap,
clear up.
you know, like, you're a monk, you're real into, like, Christian God, all that. You meet a werewolf, and you're like, you know what, yeah, Let's go learn guns and take over the world. Although, come to think of it, taking over the world was a bit of a thing for the church back in the day.
Yeah.
Or I guess this would be the Protestants, so they wouldn't have the church. But, you know. You
I
had crusades.
like
yeah.
the CG in this episode.
You
But like
what?
even the close-ups, the CG holds up. It's not perfect,
Yeah.
but I don't look at it and go like, oof.
Well, I
like,
guess when you consider the werewolf is like covered in hair, which is notoriously difficult, I bet the darkness helps though.
Yeah. I can suspend my disbelief. It doesn't take me out.
That's fine.
I like it.
Actually, the CGI, some people say, does get worse starting with Matt Smith, but that's more because we jumped to HD, and so if your CGI is a lower quality, which like it's going to be, it's more noticeable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably about the same level as the slugs from Dot and Bubble, you know? I think it's just as effective. Oh, that is actually pretty good, yeah. It's just a lower quality image, but it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. A lot better than even just, like, the Slovene from last season.
Mm.
Or the Krillitane from next episode. I've always loved that reaction. It's just such a natural, like, yes, and then he actually thinks about the question that he sort of answered automatically. He's like, wait, no. See, I shouldn't write Doctor Who, because if I did it, they'd do that 4 more times. Is this the only door? No.
Oh, this is a good scene. I like how they did this.
Yeah, it's like most of the season 2 episodes aren't bad. They're just not like the season doesn't really have a best episode of Doctor Who kind of thing. And I think basically every other season but like 7 does. She's just progressively getting angrier. It's amazing. That joke never landed for me. I had to have someone else talk about it and go, oh. He's making up for the last season, though, where Rose said the Doctor was gay in a derogatory manner. Oh, is that why Russell T. Davies wrote this episode and not the next one?
Make up for it.
Is the attractive, very fit men? Oh, I forgot. You know what someone pointed out to me when we were talking about Eccleston leaving? Is the Christmas invasion is the very next episode, and it features as a main plot point the Doctor falsely claiming someone might be tired as completely overthrowing somebody's career. This may have been inspired by the false BBC claim, which was happening while Russell was writing the Christmas special. Which feels a bit, like, uncool, you know? Like, I get it, but could you imagine Eccleston watching that episode? Like, he's like, what? It's like salt in the wound. Now let's remember, the Ninth Doctor read a whole book in like half a second in rows.
Is it canonical that the Doctor regenerated and fixed his body into someone that without the right eyesight for reading books?
Is this really worse than regenerating into someone who is physically much older?
Oh.
There you go. It could be an interesting concept for him to regenerate into someone with like a serious terminal illness that could progressively get worse over like a season or two. I mean, it's never really established that regeneration is something that like heals. It's explained as something that like every single cell in the body changes, which of course repairs damage done to the body, but it's not like explicitly good. You know, you could get like slightly dodgy eyes.
Okay, I can forgive this then.
Yeah. It would be kind of funny though if like the Doctor went blind or something. He regenerated to fix it, and then he was still like a blind regeneration. He's like, oh, that was a waste. Well, do I do it again? Like, I don't know. Or like he's deaf in 1 year, regenerates, and then is blind, or like totally deaf.
It gets worse, just so much worse.
Yeah. Something else I learned from Doctor Who this diamond. That's right, the sneaky British plan of promoting UK through television. It's working.
It's all a big UK ad.
It actually is. Like, that's one of the main reasons that the government makes Doctor Who and shows like it.
So funny.
I mean, I would be a lot less positive about the UK if it wasn't for Doctor Who. I mean, it really just, on paper, it's an awful place. I find it funny how the books weren't even the solution, though. Oh, no, they did find the comet one. Yeah. Oh, I thought there were monks on the glass, too, the reflection. Yeah. I was like, what? I don't remember that. I remember the wolf. You know, thinking about it, though, if they close the door behind them, I think the wolf is trapped in the library, because he can't go through the doors. Have they established why yet? Wait, yeah, they glossed over that plot point. I think we talked over it, but the wolf is, like, allergic to mistletoe. It's the only thing that can harm him, like, Balder of Norse mythology. Is it Balder? Wait, shoot. I think it's Balder.
I wouldn't know.
But now I'm confused if that's just coming from Baldur's Gate.
Wait.
But yeah. How did the wolf get out of the library when the doors open inward and he can't do the mistletoe? Dang it, Russell, your plot holes are showing. I mean, it's not impossible, just... Now it's my turn to say, come on, maybe a bit of hurry, though. It's real lucky, too, that I guess the moon happened to be where the telescope could view, as opposed to, like, this attack being in January or something. You know, this actor also kind of looks familiar, but he might just have one of those faces, you know?
I'm getting hung up on. It's a pretty metal scene, fighting a werewolf with a sword. Very cool.
You might have been able to use the sword to, like, barricade the door, though, thinking about it.
Yeah, there were two out there.
Oh, shoot. And, like, how much time did it actually buy? He's already banging on the door. It does feel like I guess they need to set up Torchwood somehow, but... Well, that actually is a rubbish telescope. Like, I think the Doctor undersold how bad it is as a telescope. But look, that's gotta be TARDIS telescope they designed it for. Look at that thing. It's got a moon on it.
Too much for a one-off.
Is that the regeneration sound effect? It is interesting. It is literally, I think that's also the regeneration effect. They've just pitched it up a bit. Oh no, the werewolf was a Time Lord. What if the Doctor regenerated into a werewolf? So, like, it's a normal few episodes, and then at some point you learn...
Out of nowhere.
Well, at some point it's like a normal episode, but then the Doctor turns... Or, like, the Doctor spends a lot of time hunting a creature, and it's actually him. Like, that's a werewolf.
Oh, I like that.
And then we have to deal with the Doctor. I don't know what else you could get out of it. Maybe it's not exactly a werewolf, but I like the concept. That's beautiful.
That's pretty again.
Like, it's beautiful in a fake way, but like a painting that's really real.
Yeah.
It's like a fake real, a real. I love it. I think it's the best landscape shot in the show. Stab, stab. Ooh-wee, ooh. Oh, damn, they can never go to England again. They might have to go to Ireland. Oh, no. So a lot of people don't consciously realize it, but this is actually setting up the arc of the season. Actually, yes, this season does have an arc that we'll come back to at the end.
Huh.
But Doctor, that's my time. So I've mentioned before, a good chunk of people don't actually really like 10 and Rose as a combo. This scene here is a good reason of why. Is a lot of people feel it's kind of just like watching like the early stages of some like teen romance. Oh, I thought that was the final cut. I forgot. And it was just not like the most engaging thing. Some people just find it really annoying. And I kind of agree. It's not my favorite dynamic between Doctor and Companion. Oh my god, is she from Game of Thrones? I think I've just recognized her.
I've never seen it.
Hang on. So, yep, this is the foundation of Torchwood, which, this is an interesting season, because actually a lot of this Doctor's actions of this season come back to, like, bite them later, but Torchwood obviously comes back, they have a spin-off, but they come back this season, and so, I mean, without getting too specific, this season is basically about like how the Doctor and Rose's actions and like their very reckless enjoying of like this absolute danger in horrible scenarios might not be the best thing. Is basically the arc of this season. I am trying to figure out. Yeah, Floria, Ruthine Milne has a totally empty TARDIS wiki page. So let's go to Ruthine Miller. Ruthie Miller, Game of... I have no idea what the character's name is. Is she in Game of Thrones? I think she's... The woman I'm thinking of is, I think, like, the sister of the Stark family. Not that anyone's actually live watching this right now. I don't know. I don't think so. I think she just kind of looked familiar vaguely. But yeah, Tooth and Claw. I don't know how much of that you actually heard. Hopefully subtitles will help both of us in the future. Especially because then if one of us is talking, the other can still, like, follow the episode. What did you think of probably the second most... Actually, Idiot's Land. I don't know. It gets a lot of slack.
A werewolf being evaporated and incinerated with moonlight is so far the wildest thing I have seen in our Doctor Who watch-alongs. I might have to think on that one, but it's in the top 5.
There's the Hospital of Cat Ladies who have like grow. I'm looking. I'm like I've got to be able to prove you wrong here.
No, because that's like, yeah, you know, they're aliens and they're hospital cats. You know, that makes sense. But that was just a werewolf who got...
I mean, what about meeting Charles Dickens at Christmas with ghosts?
It's funny. I can see, you know, I can make it. It makes sense in my head.
I mean, I don't.
But it was like
I
cool.
suppose.
But it was like Doctor Who did that. That was
You're
weird.
right. I think.
But I liked it.
I think the main problem a lot of people have is, like I said, it's not bad, but it is like just a werewolf, and they have we talked over it, but they have some like sci-fi vague veil to like, oh, but it's actually just it's just an alien that likes our light. It's basically Superman. It's like the sun gives him powers because he's an alien, and it's different to their sun. But like a werewolf isn't the most interesting thing when you think of like the sort of things Doctor Who can do and will do. I'll give you that might actually be the strangest thing so far in Modern Who. I'm not gonna give you that for very long though. I bet Love and Monsters might beat it. I don't know.
I loved the atmosphere and aesthetic of the episode. It was so good. And Monks with Guns was like, that was cool.
I think it's one of the better ones of this season. But I think that's why it's critiqued, is that it is one of the better ones of this season. I feel in a normal and like a lot of other seasons, it's just kind of a mid episode. That makes like people love this one, The Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. I mean, everyone cries about the thumbnail that's being used for Doomsday right now, but no, it was a good one. It's just it's not anything you'd write home about. So people constantly write home about how it's not anything you'd write home about. I don't know why. We're weird. Maybe people were bored in 2006, like talking about Doctor Who.
Yeah, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah. But next week we have something special. We have
school reunion.
School reunion.
Yeah.
I don't know how much pre-context I should give you, because I think you'll want. I mean, the episode will give you context. I don't know who I'd sell it to, because like anyone who's actually watching this probably is either gonna watch School Reunion anyway, or already knows like the selling point. But this one has got actually two characters who've been in Doctor Who before, but not season 1 or season 2. We got some classic. We got some classic.
I didn't know they were classics.
Yeah. I mean, they mention, like, I traveled with them before. We got classic companions. Screw it. We got Sarah Jane Smith, fan favorite companion.
Oh, yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
Mostly overrated. And K9. The best
K9's in this episode?
K9 is... Oh, you like that. That perked you up. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Man, you really...
Next week's gonna be a big week.
You really liked that. I was not expecting. I've probably just...
the metallic flesh.
Have I talked about K9 a lot? Yeah, you like that.
I don't
will
remember
say,
when. Yeah.
That is the appropriate reaction to both Sarah Jane Smith and K9. that was the way around. I'm glad you got it.
Okay.
I mean, Sarah Jane Smith is a fan favorite companion. I'm gonna be hot take. I think it's just because she happened to be the companion when like the show is like most considered to be its peak. She is like the only generic companion after we leave the black and white era, or like heck, the first Doctor. People complain about how other companions are modern day women from just the UK. She is a modern day woman from the UK. To be fair, so were the two women before her, but like the Doctor was stranded on her. Look, she's fine, but like Ruby, she's fine. It's like that's the pro and the con. But she does have a spin-off that, like you, I was like, Sarah Jane. But K9, and then in the first episode, they're like, oh, K9's in this safe guarding a black hole. He can't come out now. He's too expensive. And I was like, oh. But he is in the show later on. So if you need an excuse to watch Sarah Jane Adventures like I did, it's K9. We won't do it on the stream. Like, if we ever do, it'll be after classic Doctor Who. It is genuinely great. Like, it is the kids show. So on some senses, it does lean a little more into, like Doctor Who's already a family show, but it does lean a little more into kids.
Yeah.
However, it also genuinely has some like bone chilling moments and like I really don't want to say too much. I think there's something in the final episode of season 1 that genuinely was like such an unexpected twist. It was just like my hair stood on end and like my bones went cold of like a moment. And I really don't want to say much because of how like it just came out of the blue, like randomly with no build up. It's just like
Gosh.
and then the episode's about that. And there's other one like there. I mentioned 73 Yards is a lot like an episode, The Curse of Clyde Langer, which is genuinely...
Yeah, I remember when we talked about that, yeah.
It's about, like, one of the kids of the show, the main kids, is basically cursed, so if anyone says or looks at their name, they, like, hate him. Like, with burning passion. And it's an episode where his life slowly falls apart, where everyone from his school, his friends, and his own mother just suddenly hates him for reasons he can't comprehend or explain, and he has to go live on the streets under a false name, because if anyone learns his name, which he eventually figures out, they will hate him. That's an episode of this child show that also genuinely deals with homelessness, and, like, it's yeah, like it'll have kids moments, but it's also just genuinely good. It's also got Bradley Walsh as a villain, which is weird now that he plays a companion for the 13th Doctor.
Bradley Walsh.
It's a weird episode. You might not know the guy. He's like pretty big in the UK, but he plays like a circus man. I don't remember.
Circus man.
What is it? He literally... I don't remember his name. Sarah Jane. It's an episode about clowns because it's a kid's show. Adventures Bradley Walsh.
He's got 2 episodes.
2? Does he? Yeah,
I
look.
don't know.
Here is Bradley Walsh as a companion. Here is Bradley Walsh in the Sarah Jane Adventures dressed up like a ring man and like a clown. Yeah. It's just odd when you go back and watch. But yeah. Sarah Jane Adventures would highly recommend, especially if you're into Doctor Who. It's got the Doctor in some episodes, not most. The 10th and 11th Doctor both show up for an episode. It's got, this was a surprise to me, but it's got Joe Grant in one of the episodes too. And the Brigadier, who we never got in Modern Who, due to what can only be described as a level 1 war crime. I don't know what level 1 means either in the context of war crimes, but that's what it was. Yeah, no, it was a good show. It's just Sarah Jane was a little better in that than Doctor Who, but she is mid. Fight me. Actually, I'm not even sure she's mid, because, like, I guess there are some bad companions, but once you leave Black and White, there really isn't, like, a bad companion. There's just some mid companions.
I'm gonna get the feel for her. Next episode, I'm gonna figure her out.
Well, they do give her a weird, like, romancy plot, like she was in love with the Doctor, which is really never there in the classics, and a lot of people complain about it, and I'm probably going to complain about it, but I mean, at least it's something, I guess, even if it's, like, the most cliched.
K9's there, so it'll be okay.
Oh yeah, no, K9 is a highlight of every episode he's in, which is saying a lot, given he's in, like, 3 or 4 seasons of Classic Who. K9 is the best boy. I think there's like 3 K9s in the Doctor Who universe. There might even be 4, because there's an Australian spin-off about K9 that is not related to Doctor Who.
What?
Because K9, the character, isn't owned by the BBC. It's owned by the guy who created K9 for Doctor Who. And him or his estate at some point went off and made a spin-off about K9 that has nothing to do with Doctor Who, and they redesigned him to look bad. I've never seen that. And then, in fact, there was a different spin-off, funny enough, in the 70s that only got a pilot about Sarah Jane and K9. For some reason, it's a pairing they really want to go, even though Sarah never actually met K9. How did Sarah Jane get K9? I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that. Oh, yeah, she got it for the spin-off I mentioned. Somehow. But anyway, two of the K9s, both through totally unrelated circumstances, end up living on Gallifrey.
Oh.
And so there's a audio drama series from Big Finish called Gallifrey, which, by the way, the first 3 chapters are absolutely incredible and fairly cheap. The first 3 volumes, they're the old ones. I would highly recommend to anybody. It's basically about one of the former companions, Romana, trying to turn Gallifrey from this horrible, secretive, conservative society into a liberal society that embraces the world. And God, that's hard, and it's fantastic. But that series features 2 K9s because they're both living on Gallifrey. And they have a feud because one of them is Mark II and is how they're the superior K9, and everyone's no, what, you're identical. And I think even the first K9 is nope, he is superior, he is Mark II. And they're imagine 2 K9s. We're truly spoiled in the 90s. Even though the show wasn't on the air, we were truly spoiled.
There's only one thing that could be better than 2 K9s.
3 K9s.
3 K9s.
But not 4. That Australian abomination deserves to die.
You don't want to do that.
Actually, it's at the 5th. There's a lot of... Hang on, before we stop the stream. Doctor Who K9 TARDIS Wiki. K9? Which, fun fact, for the first year of filming with K9, Louise Jameson, the actress, did not realize it was a pun. I'm how do you work with K9 for a year before it clicks? Oh, it's a dog. Yeah, served as the companions of the 4th Doctor and then a list of 10 people. The 13th Doctor? Where's that? Starkly? What, Dan Starkly? No, who the hell are you? Affiliated? Oh, I bet this is the spin-off. You don't need to talk about the spin-off. Yeah. Doctor Who, Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7th Doctors, 10th Doctors, Braxiatel, apparently Braxiatel had a K9, Maggers, and Rose had a K9, as well as a Mark 6 drawing and a page for undated models, as well as the 3 under what I'm assuming is the spin-off show. No, what the hell is that thing?
Shoots lasers from its nose?
Look at that weird... No, it shoots lasers from its mouth. I don't know what this freak of abomination for audio is. K9. Rose had a K9 belonged to an incarnation of the Doctor who required the use of a wheelchair. What was that
See, he regenerated and went, crap.
At a point prior to the 5th of March, 2005, someone photographed the Doctor and K9. This photo would later be in the possession of Clive. What? K9 was in season 1? Oh no, Rose. That's not adapted Rose target. Okay, so it's in the book, the novelization of Rose, the episode. Yes, it's from the Target book novelizations. Okay.
Yay.
What? So the novelization just invented a Doctor that needed a wheelchair for some reason. That's
really funny.
Bizarre. I want to see this full picture, too. You can see on... I mean, the audience can't, because, who cares about this? You may be looking for another robot dog. She just links to a totally different K9 for some reason. Yeah, no, K9 is best, except when he's voiced by someone who's not John Leeson for, 1 season randomly. In which case it's devastating. I think he got laryngitis or something, and that's the excuse.
This is really funny. I can't find the picture, but I can find the other half of the picture.
Oh, wow. It's a young... Imagine...
there it is.
It's 2000, right? It's 2002. And you're writing a show, and in the show, there's, a comical boy genius nerd. In fact, could you just send me a link to that?
Is that
image?
Shooty?
Send me a link to that image on Discord. Oh wait, Matt Smith is in this, and the 13th Doctor is... No, this is a new novelization.
Yeah, is that... because right next to
Oh
what I'm
yeah, that's
assuming
the
is
15th
Japanese
Damn, that's... Wait, no, it said 2018 though. But send me a link to this. What the hell is this picture?
Where did it come from? Where is it? Let me find it.
Control Shift T will open previously closed
From an,
tabs.
yeah, it's from an Amazon link to the book.
But oh, maybe the
It's from
illustrated
2023
version is new.
by Russell T. Davies.
The factor. I don't know why I needed two-factor. Oh wait, I do recognize this. No, this was special for. So this was for the 60th anniversary. They redid the Rose novelization, but with pictures. So that's why it's got all the new doctors in it. In fact, you can see there's an even bigger picture where you can see the 2nd, 3rd, 8th, the 9th Doctor fighting a pterodactyl with what I thought was a sword. There's the one about the Loch Ness Monster. The 1st Doctor's upside down. Oh my god, they've got a picture from the one about the 5th Doctor and the Concorde where the Master's a racist for, like, no reason.
I thought it was $3,000, but
Yeah.
if you look, we're on Amazon.in. We're on Indian. These are
How did you
rupees.
get there?
I don't even know.
But, no, I bet that's probably a future incarnation. However, they have designed the wheelchair. Oh yeah, sorry, I was going to post a link to Indian Amazon, I guess. There we go, in the chat. That's why I asked for one. Where, is that David... Not David Warner. Oh, those are the mannequins. I thought there was, like, the... oh my god, who's the guy who played Grand Moff Tarkin? He did Peter Cushing. I thought it was the Peter Cushing Doctor from the movies. But no, the Doctor's wheelchair is, like... weirdly futuristic, but it has the Gallifreyan, like, weird head thing that their robes have in the background. It's bizarre. I don't know what that's probably, like, the guy's son or whatever who wrote it. There's a weird bald Doctor who's with a unit for some reason, like 70s unit. Yeah. Also, I wish we got that 3rd Doctor episode where the giant frog sits on the British Museum and lays eggs. That looks like the best episode we never got.
I want to see that.
You know what the funny thing is, though? There is an episode of the 13th Doctor where she meets a universe that's a frog.
A universe?
A universe. I want to show you, because whatever you're picturing, it's not as good. Oh. Doctor Who, 13th Doctor, universe, frog. And it's genuinely one of, like... the only amazing moments in the entire era. She meets this frog that's a universe. It's a frog that's a universe that just wants to be friends.
What?
This is actually the episode has problems. I'm hesitant to say the episode is amazing. But by God, was this one of, like, the only times of the 13th Doctor's era I felt true joy. It's a universe which looks like a frog, and the universe just wants to be friends, but it can't because it would destroy our universe. And the Doctor's gotta say, I'm sorry. And it's like, okay, I understand. It's brilliant.
Oh, it's sad.
I know, but it's a frog. The universe is a frog.
I'm so excited.
It's brilliant. Chimpanzee, he didn't write this one, I don't think, but this is brilliant. No. And yeah, I feel an episode where a giant frog sits on the British Museum and, like, lays a bunch of eggs and just, like, roars at or, like, ribbits at the Doctor. You know what it would be? It would be Invasion of the Dinosaurs, except a frog. And, like, it wouldn't be good, but it would just be so Doctor Who, it would be the best thing ever made. Like,
yeah.
The Doctor would probably, as long as the Doctor doesn't do something, like, morally atrocious, as they always do, is 13, it would be great. But now that I've said it, I've realized the Doctor would probably, like, they wouldn't want to, like, make the frog die, because that'd be, or, like, they wouldn't want to trap it in the museum, because that'd be, like, inhumane. They'd instead detonate a nuke in its stomach, as that would be the morally right decision.
Oh, right. Naturally.
In the middle of London, of course. It would wipe out London, but like,
Off the
you know,
map.
yeah, that's the sort of thing. You're laughing, but some of the 13th Doctor's morals, Caden, like, it's actually impressive how the most consistent aspect of the character is how they would consistently do the worst possible and most undoctory thing you could imagine in every scenario, especially given that the show is actually treating it like it is the morally correct. The show doesn't realize it's wrong, yet somehow this is the most consistent aspect of her character. Can you guess who the bottom doctor is in my list of ranking the doctors?
Cannot wait.
We might have some fun. I mean, as I said, it's not like there's nothing in this era. There's the frog.
Right. It's a long
There's
list.
probably, yeah, there's some episodes that are like, all right, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few. There's like one or two.
Uh-huh.
I am looking forward to Flux, especially, oh god, I've just realized, with us talking over half the plot for Flux, I was going to do a joke where another podcast I watched, there's going to be a bit of a swear here, but the podcast name was Fuck Yeah, Doctor Who, where after every episode, of course, it's called The Flux. It's one big story, and they have to deal with something called The Flux, okay? And after every episode, one of the guys would ask the other, so, please explain to me what The Flux is. And every episode, they'd have like a wildly different explanation that is more and more losing cohesion because somehow the Flux has explained 3 times, and it's 3 things that are absolutely mutually exclusive. And it's I'll love this because a lot of people say, "Oh, it was COVID," so like it wasn't as many episodes as they wanted. They had some filming restrictions, and I'm like, you don't write your main thing to be 3 totally separate things because COVID. That it's how can you watch Flux? Some people say it's the best season of her era, and I okay, we make fun, but I actually genuinely would be interested in like sitting down and even watching and being like, let's go in understanding that we both fundamentally agree with each other here. But, like, I want to understand what you were thinking because it sounds like nonsense in the same way what I'm thinking must sound like nonsense to you. And it's not just like, it's not for me. It's like I actually don't understand how you can say it's genuinely, like, the worst season of television I've ever seen, except maybe one of the Star Treks, but I'm not about to go rewatch the 2 worst seasons of television I've ever seen
Now I'm
to
really
figure
excited.
out.
I can't wait.
But there's like a Sontaran who likes chocolate, so you could
The chocolate's good.
Yeah, I mean it's not a good scene, but
Oh, well.
yeah, and they redesigned the Sontarans to look like poo because that's what they used to look like.
Are they the
Doctor
We
We haven't seen them yet. You've seen modern Sontarans. Here you go.
Yeah, I know
This is
these
what
guys.
you've
I
seen.
hate these guys.
This
so
is
much.
what they used to look like in the classics. This is what they've
pretty
made them
bad.
look like now.
Oh.
Which I will say, this is the perfect modern reimagination of the classic Sontarans. The problem is the classic Sontarans looked like poop. The like Russell T Davies version was so much better.
They look
Just-
so cool with their helmets on. Why
Take-
did I ever have to take
Well,
them
that
off?
was the cliffhanger. Is the whole first episode he's wearing the helmet, and then he takes it off and turns to the camera, and that's the cliffhanger of the first classic one. But yeah, take the modern prosthetics, put them in like the Chibnall suit, brilliant. But the face just looks like poo.
It's awful.
It does, like don't get me wrong, it's well constructed. It's just a bad design.
I'm made out of a Tootsie Roll.
Look at this melting classic man though. It's like but why is there a Simpson Sontaran in Google? Why is Captain Cisco a Sontaran in Google? I don't know. That's actually weird. They all look like Cisco in this image. But yeah, here's one who's got a like weird Hitler mustache. I don't know.
Why does he look...
We've gotten to the part where we just look at Google and the viewers can't see it.
He looks so cool on that horse too. I'm looking at my own pictures.
That's one of the
Pretty
episodes
cool.
of Flux that people actually say is really good, and is one of the best ones of
The one, yeah,
Flux.
down there on the left with
Yeah.
his like helmet on the white horse.
Now I can't remember
Radical.
if it's the best one, but this is an episode where the resolution, you'll forget it in 3 years, is they blow up the Sontaran army, who have, by the way, like the Sontaran, the Russia is Sontar now. Don't worry about it. And they blow up the ships, so they go and lay a bunch of explosives, which they have around like the entire armada, which is like at the heart of their camp, because it's literally all the Sontarans are here. It's like hundreds of spaceships. Maybe not. It's a lot of spaceships. And the reason they can do this without anyone seeing them is Sontarans, and this is established in other episodes, they need to like plug in to eat every so often, right? And so naturally, the way they do this is that literally 100% of their forces at exactly the same time goes and does this, so that absolutely no one is on guard and no one can defend in case of an attack. So they're totally vulnerable. The whole army does this simultaneously, and that's the resolution. Because that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. And then they blow up the Sontarans because they all go to bed at exactly the same time. There's no reason, by the way, that they all have to eat at a particular time. They just choose to.
Huh.
They've been at war for, is the entire history of the universe, and their enemy, I guess, just doesn't exploit this weakness. They're quite honorable.
Yeah, they play by the rules.
Yeah, they're like, well, no, they're sleeping. We need to sleep too. We're going to sleep at the same time. That's just how this works. That's an example of what is considered the good episode of Flux. Oh boy, Caden. Are you ready for the universe to get destroyed? They set up an undo button, literally a big button that undoes it. They don't press that button, and then they just act like the universe is fine afterwards.
I can't wait.
They don't bring it up until Russell T. Davis gets back, and they're like, okay, look, we need to talk about this. Remember how I said 15th Doctor talks about how half the universe is destroyed? I think that's just because they met in the middle. Flux said all the universe was destroyed, but then had a shot where the whole universe is back. Literally, the universe was Earth and one other planet. Not even suns, just Earth and a planet. And then, which is, I guess, coincidentally next to Earth. Not one of our planets. No, it's a different planet. Not in our solar system. And then that closing shot is loads of stars. And so I guess he's like, well, somewhere between 0 and 100%. That's 50%. So let's just meet in the middle. God, it's I promise I don't actually just complain about Chibnall. I'm everyone's tired about complaining about Chibnall in the 13th Doctor, but for some reason, whenever I describe it to you, that's where we end up. I don't know.
It's telling.
I think it's kind of funny to imagine these. There's latent anger we build up. I do hope when we actually get to 13, though, it's not just. I mean, no, let's be honest. It is going to be this episode is bad. But I hope we also talk about how the universe frog is great and it's going to be an effort.
Diamonds in the rough.
It would be amazing though if you genuinely love the 13th Doctor and then we can actually fall apart and never speak again.
Yeah, one of my friends does, and I haven't talked to them enough about it to really know.
Well, they're not going to be your friend in 3 years' time. You're going to we're going to disown you. Yeah. Nope. Yeah, it's I mean, I think a lot of it. The thing is, it's funny because spoilers. Thinking about ranking the masters, their incarnations. There's a master for the 13th Doctor, played by Sacha Dhawan, and I fully expected him to be the bottom of the list. He just doesn't bring anything new to the table. He's a rehash of an old master who I'm not particularly fond of anyway. But a lot of people love him. Even the people who hate the 13th Doctor era really like his master. And even with the material he's given, they say he's good and he'd be fantastic with a better writer. And they even say he is fantastic in a lot of his episodes, right? And I've never understood it. But thinking about where I'd actually place him, as I'm leaning back, I'm comparing him to the other masters, I'm like, he's actually really moving up into the like middle of the pack, or maybe even higher in the pack. But I'm also like, is it because he's actually good to me, and somehow I didn't see it watching 5 years of the 13th Doctor? Or is it that I haven't seen the 13th Doctor for probably approaching 2 years now? I haven't seen his master. So all of like the badness that was actually there for me isn't in my head anymore. And the concept of the character is good, because Chibnall has a lot of good concepts. And that's what I'm remembering. And I mean, he's a good actor, so like that also helps. But also, is it that the badness of the Chibnall era I'm forgetting? And so I'm left with someone who was actually good and I actually like, but I couldn't see it because he was in awful plots where, like, you know, the Doctor sends him to concentration camps for being black after winning.
What?
That happens.
It's quite a dilemma you have.
Yeah, no, she defeated the Master, who's disguised as a Nazi, but he's using like a perception filter to look white because, you know, the Nazi, he's Indian. I don't know if I've established that. But, you know, the Nazis probably wouldn't like that. So after defeating the Master, they're on top of the Eiffel Tower, and the Nazis are already on their way. He literally can't escape. She disables his perception filter, says, now they'll see the real you. The real you, presumably, of course, being his race, and then she leaves. And
Wild.
Especially considering, even if we ignore the racist aspect for a second, surely that's a bad move, because the Nazis are coming to arrest an Aryan man who has been posing as their commander, and they're going to find this random Indian dressed as a Nazi. It's quite a logical leap. Like, we don't even know if he totally changed his appearance, or if he just looked like, you know, his body, but white. Like, it's actively detrimental to his... Like, sure, they're not just going to let him go. I mean, they're Nazis, and he's an Indian on top of the Eiffel Tower dressed as a Nazi. But,
Yeah.
like, it's... Who wrote Chibnall? Chris. I was going to say who wrote this, but it was Chris Chibnall. Yeah, that's a 13... You know, on the one hand, he clearly didn't notice. He didn't really see. It's something that slipped through. But on the other hand, it managed to slip through. Like, the entire production team, and it's also not the only example, even in the 13th Doctor's era. But it's the only example of handing someone over to the Nazis. It's the end goal that I assume she's going to retrieve is he goes to a Nazi concentration camp. And then when we see him later in the episode in the future, he's upset because he had to go to a concentration camp and is like, what the heck? Or something like that. I honestly don't remember.
It's impressive decision-making to go through with those ideas.
That was, it's funny. That was the opening to Season 12. The closing to Season 12 is there are Daleks around, right? But, like, human-made Daleks, or something like that. I don't remember exactly how they make them. So the Doctor calls the real Daleks, who, of course, aren't going to like the impure Daleks, to come and exterminate them. Which means the last episode of the season is also the Doctor weaponizing the enemy's race, because there is a group of powerful racists who perceive the enemy as being racially inferior. So, because it's the start and the end, naturally the bookmark in the story of Season 12 is that racism is sometimes useful.
It's a crazy sandwich.
You know, that's real unfortunate. Yeah. Obviously, this is unintended. And, you know, the Dalek example is a lot more understandable. But it is still 2 examples in the same season. Like, let
2 important
alone,
episodes.
If it was any other era, it would probably barely get noticed. Like, the Nazi one would absolutely, but the Dalek one, I'm sure the Doctor has, like, used something similar in other Dalek stories. But at least usually the show is critical. Like, the Doctor has been racist to Daleks before and been proven wrong, and the show was happy to put him out and say, hey, Doctor, what the heck? Like, this is right. Dalek from Rose, right, is the perfect example, where the Doctor's like foaming at the mouth, ready to exterminate the Dalek. And it's like, what the hell are you, Doctor? This isn't you.
Yeah.
But no, that's not 13. 13 is right all the time, and that's how it works.
Oof.
Welcome to your... We watch a good episode of Doctor Who. We complain about Chibnall for an hour, and then that's what we do. After, of course, looking at Google and the audience can't see it.
Yeah, that's how the show goes.
That's how it goes,
That's how
yeah.
our show goes, yeah.
Yep. Eventually, we'll be able to have finished Doctor Who like a year ago. If we... Some of these watch-alongs are going to be longer than I watch an entire 4-part classic series. That's the sad thing. But are you still able to like hear the episodes and like actually follow along with them?
Yeah. I as well can adjust on my end what I'm taking in.
But you can't adjust the show independent of me because it's the
Yeah,
same.
I can through the Discord stream. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. Never mind.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. Yeah. Because no, I want you to follow along. Like I can't, and like I've seen these before. That's how I'm coping. But yeah, that's good as long as you're following them along.
Yeah, I can adjust that.
It'll be real weird once we get to season 7 is it? When we get to the episodes you haven't seen.
Yeah, it's all new.
It's all new.
We got a while.
Right when the show starts its trek towards near cancellation. Yeah. there's a reason season 7. Look, don't get me wrong. There is a lot of good between season 7 and season 13. But season 7 is about where you can start writing the narrative of getting to the point where Chris Chibnall genuinely thinks he may be writing the last ever episode of Doctor Who because he doesn't know if someone's going to come in after him. There's a reason you left it Dinosaurs on a Spaceship. Actually, kind of impressively quickly, like, into that season. But, here we go. Episode 6 is where we meet Clara. We leave the ponds. And, the casual fans hate Clara. Heck, even some of the dedicated fans hate Clara. They think she gets too big. Clara is the companion for the next 3 seasons. And if it doesn't help, seasons 8... Actually, no. Clara is the companion for the next 4 seasons. She was the longest-serving companion of her time by a certain metric. I don't remember which one. I think real-world time. And the Doctor for seasons 8, 9, and 10, the casual fan base despises. The casual fan base didn't even get a chance to get to Jodie, but, you know, we know how that went.
I might shatter our timeline here.
Mm-hmm.
I might mess it up, but I thought I met Clara. But you're telling me that happens after Dinosaurs on a Spaceship?
You did meet Clara. Clara's got a mystery around her. You did. Clara.
Okay.
But she's like you kind of met Clara. But you met set up for Clara's arc. But no, she becomes like the actual full companion around like here. It's like the Christmas in episode 6, halfway through the season. But yeah, the fan base, I don't even remember why the fans, casuals in particular, didn't like her. I might actually have to look into that. I know why the dedicated fans don't like her. I don't know if the casuals would have gotten that far. Those filthy, disgusting casuals. If it's not clear enough, I probably should put this at the beginning. Fine. I'm not going to say what a real Doctor Who fan is, but, like, I absolutely am very into the franchise, and so, like, a dedicated fan or, like, a hyper fan, I'm never going to say a true fan, but, like, that sort of thing describes me. And, like, yeah, the casuals, I mean, in order to be a casual, you still have to be a fan. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's funny to say those filthy, disgusting casuals, especially with you.
Because I'm here. I'm right here.
That's the joke. As long as you can go through. But at what point do you stop being a filthy casual? That's the thing about gatekeeping, Caden. I'm always going to move the bar forward. You'll have watched all of Modern Who. Well, there's like 8 doctors before. Oh, you watched the whole show? You're telling me you've never heard a Big Finish audio drama?
Yeah.
There's like 50 free on Spotify, but and then if you know what, if you actually genuinely start getting into Big Finish and watch all of that, then fine, you'll have passed the goalpost. It's not.
Then I'll make it.
Well, at that
It's good to
point,
know
you'll
what
have
it
to
is.
argue I'm not. You know.
Yeah.
Once the War Master becomes your favorite master, and the 8th Doctor is your favorite Doctor, or the 6th, then you're a true fan.
And you made it.
That's the sign, as you consume the extended media, and you are dedicated. Well, actually, no. The real kind of thing of a dedicated fan is the 12th Doctor is your favorite nowadays. Like the fan base love. Go to Reddit, ask who's your favorite Doctor, assuming it's a Doctor Who Reddit. Like virtually every response is going to be 12. It's actually kind of amazing how universal that opinion is amongst the fans. Given, for one, it is the exact opposite of, like, the casuals. And, like, there are 15 options here.
Yeah.
It's not even a recency thing, surely. I guess he was the last good one, assuming the 15th Doctor is too young to really kind of overtake anyone, which I think is fair. A lot, because he's very popular. But he was like, okay, brace yourself. He was a decade ago. Like, actually. he was nearing Doctor Who Twice Upon a Time. Aired in 2017. So 7, nearing 8 years ago, because it was the Christmas episode. Yeah, the 12th Doctor generated almost 8 years ago. Deep Breath is over 10. Yeah.
Weird.
Doctor Who Deep Breath. Yeah, Deep Breath is August 23rd. Deep Breath is almost 10 years old to the day. That's when everything started to go wrong. Nah, I like Capaldi, but as I said, I think the most interesting thing, and one of the things that's really compelling me to make the Doctor Who ranking is, as I've just said, you'll see a lot of people who hate Capaldi. Didn't get too far into his era, but really bounced off. You'll see a lot of people who adore Capaldi and like he's the best thing that ever happened. I've never heard a moderate, like it's anywhere in between those two extremes, opinion on Peter Capaldi, and I feel that's what I have. Right, so I kind of spoilers, right? You know he's not 13, or I guess 14 would be the bottom of my. I don't remember where my list would be, but you know he's not the bottom. He's not number 1. I'll say that. I don't know where exactly he is, but I feel like that would be actually like a unique perspective. And there's a lot of doctors I feel I have interesting, unique perspectives, even the rankings, that I'm like, that video's probably worthwhile to make.
I'm excited to see where I fall.
You could probably watch it. I mean, it's gonna be like full of spoilers and stuff, but you already know. Well, actually, I guess there are some things that are cool. I don't know if you'll want to watch that yet. By the time we get to 13, you can probably watch it. But yeah, of course, 6 is always a fun one to review. 4 is gonna be hard. You know, whether you like, no matter where you fall, it's so hard to just describe what the 4th Doctor is beyond just like yes.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
It's like I'm like, God, especially with how it's probably going to be like an unusual ranking, or like one I'll have to kind of defend. How do you describe? Like, I don't even know exactly why he's about where he would be on the list. He's just, yeah, that's where he goes. And I feel no matter what you feel about the 4th Doctor, it's like, yeah, that's where he goes. It's kind of self-evident, but I don't know why he's there. Don't at me.
You gotta figure out how to articulate it.
See, it's easy when you put him in, like, you know, top 3, because you can just go, yeah, I don't know, but it's Tom. Like, Tom is the Doctor. It's like he's not even acting. He's literally just saying the lines like he would. He's just an eccentric man. That he just is the 4th Doctor. But like, you know, that's the normal thing. You just go and everyone's like, yeah, you know, he's like the iconic one. Even now, he's potentially still like the poster child, even above David Tennant. Or at the very least, those are the two you get. You get 4, 10, and current. That's who's on like the Doctor Who pictures.
Yeah.
But like, if anything other than that, you're gonna really struggle to defend. Even though if he was your least favorite Doctor, you'd probably have literally the exact same reasoning as someone who's the favorite. Well, just look at him and the way he is, and he's clearly not as good as all the others. It's like, and anywhere in between, that's what it is. I don't know. He's Tom. He's just Tom. That's why I'll rank him as Tom. Just
Own category.
Randomly between like, you know, just two random numbers. He's Tom. That's the category. I don't know, man. Poor Tom.
And still, I've never met the guy.
You probably never will. He's an old. Unfortunately, he's still around though.
Just like you.
It's gonna be
good.
weird because Big Finish, the audio company, of course, you know they want to use people when they have him, and they also realize the Fourth Doctor's huge. They pre-record, obviously. They're like a good 2, maybe 3 years out for a lot of people. Or maybe a little less. Tom Baker, I think they've recorded stories for until like 2029 or something, even past when they have to renew their license with the BBC. Because apparently for a good while now, like about every 2 weeks, basically whenever Tom Baker is like up to recording, they record with him. And it's like, no, we are putting this in the bank. You are going to die, and 10 years later, we're going to release your final story. It's so he's even lagging behind. Well, you have things like they cast Sarah Jane Smith's daughter, the actress, her daughter, to play Sarah Jane in a few episodes starting like a year or two ago. And people are like, why isn't there a fourth Doctor and Sarah Jane? It's like, that's of course, a popular pairing. As I said, she's a beloved companion. There's a reason there are 2 attempts at the Sarah Jane adventures, and like she's the first companion they brought back. But people are like, well, like 2 or 3 years ago they hired her to start doing stories. They're just now doing an anniversary story with that TARDIS team of 4, Sarah and Harry. Like they probably did do one like 3 or 4 years ago, and we're only about to get it in like a year. But funny. I mean, it's good because he loves being the Doctor. You know, he's a fascinating story, but like he wouldn't be doing it at his age, or just at all if he didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even remember what the point was, but. Yeah, it will be weird one point when he is gone. Like, that'll be the first time in our lifetimes that a Doctor's died. Actually, that's not true, but a main incarnation that, like, held the title for a while. Spoilers. But, yes, there was one who did die. Unless, I guess you count Peter Cushing. But, you know, the main numbered Doctors. Because the last one was John Pertwee, like, when the TV movie came out in the 90s. And since then, like, all of the rest of the Doctors have done Big Finish. And so we've been getting stories with them for the past, like, 20 years. As I've said, you don't really, like, leave the role anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we got 9 back recently for Big Finish. Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi haven't come back for various reasons. I think Matt Smith is basically busy and can make bigger money elsewhere. Peter Capaldi is either happy with his Doctor and doesn't want to come back, he'd rather let it stay, or is still angry about having been forced out of the role by the BBC. There's a conspiracy theory, you can look into it. But we still get stories from like Impressionists, and like the guy who does Matt Smith until recently is like literally perfect. He does an awful Capaldi, but his Matt Smith is genuinely flawless. I think I've played it to you, and I'm like, if I didn't tell you this wasn't Matt Smith, you would every now and then go, well, it has been like 10 years. I guess he's maybe a bit older. But it's Matt Smith. Like, He even does an amazing 10th Doctor, but like David Tennant will do stuff whenever he gets a chance. He did a lot during the COVID times because he could just literally do it in lockdown. They got a lot of David Tennant. Jodie Whittaker is coming back in like a little while. I don't remember how long. You have one of the special doctors coming back in January. Like, the new Master coming back. The entire 13th era cast basically instantly turned around and said, yes, sign me up. In Big Finish, like, the moment the BBC let them do 13th Doctor stories, just is starting releasing them. It's fun. But, yeah, you don't really leave the role. And even then, like, 1, 2, and 3, they've been getting stories. The Third Doctor adventures are great on Big Finish. They are more Third Doctor. They fit with the era perfectly. But I don't know if I can make the jump from like any of the actual Doctor actors I've been so used to an impressionist. Like, I know how it was like when you actually had Tom Baker. Or even though, you know, Tom Baker it's been like 40, 50 years. Like, he sounds a lot older. Like, it's him, but he is so much older than he was in the show. But, like, it's Tom. And the other ones are still really similar to their original voices. I guess the Fifth Doctor sounds kind of older, but I'm so used to him now. Even if you got an perfect impersonation of a young Fifth Doctor, it wouldn't sound right because he'd sound young. Even if you actually got, like, 20-year-old Peter Davison, it wouldn't work because he's not old. I'm like, God, that's gonna be a jump. You better, like, the day you stop with Tom Baker, you better get like the 11th Doctor in or something just to work. That's what I want. I want Matt Smith to retire and do Big Finish. Thank you, Matt Smith. Bye.
The dream.
That's the dream. Just give me Derek Jacobi. He's gonna be the sad one. He does the War Master. And I'm like, no. When he goes, stop the range. It's your best range ever. But I don't know if you know him. He's got such an iconic voice in an iconic role. And his voice is like perfect. It's like, no. Don't.
Oh yeah, I know this guy.
Yeah. It's like, no. You don't recast someone who's got Sir in their name. You know, it's not right.
That's it, yeah.
And let alone carry on his main solo range. Yeah. I should stop talking about Masters, though, if I'm planning a Ranking the Masters video.
Yeah, letting it all out.
Am I praising Derek Jacobi too much? Am I maybe being a little obvious?
Yeah, they know where he'll end up.
Damn it. Number 7, I knew they'd know. No, it's... There's probably like 7 or 8 Masters. That's a really low ranking. Have we run out of stuff to say live like 2 hours ago?
It's usually how it goes.
I think I was gonna wrap it up like half an hour ago. We could still keep talking, but I'm like, we're past the point where like anyone could possibly. You know, the best part is this absolutely kills the engagement time, which means even less people are gonna show up to watch this. I don't know who.
But it's how they'll realize in 3 years when Doctor Who's back in the mainstream, they'll be like, oh, I gotta go rewatch this watch-along series.
Yeah, that's the thought. But even then, it's gonna be like so bad how we do the intros and stuff. Like, this is the sort of thing. If I had like 2 or 3 million subscribers, I could do this, and it'd be like, it'd work. It'd be like an unpopular thing, but you know, there'd be people here. This is just us, and like no one ever shows up.
No, because then you will. Like, fast forward 5 years and you'll have 3 million subscribers and I'll be world famous for something else, and then they'll just be here for this. They'll skip the episode part.
They'll just skip it. Well, everyone will like go back and go like, man, I wish they did this like 4 years later when they got big and we could actually enjoy it or be there live. And now just everyone's gonna be unhappy. No one's going to watch the episode. I'm not even going to talk, like, in depth about Doctor Who because you're here, and, like, I can't talk about the later ones. I wonder if that'll ever change. If we'll ever hit a point where I'll talk about previous stuff and, like, we'll get to really get into the in-depth of, like, intricate things, or if it'll always be wanting to talk about what they do later. Every time. because I do try and keep the main plot points under wraps. I mean, the only thing I've told you is the Timeless Child, and that's because we're watching 15.
Oh yeah, and that was weird.
Oh yeah, that was yeah, you know,
It's already become a blur.
By the time we get to the 13th Doctor, I'm probably going to have positive opinions. She'll have been on Big Finish, as well as the Master and, like, the Special Doctor. You know, I'll really get understandings of their character, their depth. I haven't seen actual Chibnall Who. It'll be like the 6th Doctor. I haven't seen a 6th Doctor television show in a while, but I've had, you know, like, several years of really high-quality Big Finish that if I ever go back, it's going to be like, oh, what is this garbage?
It'll be my turn to talk the smack, yeah.
Yeah, because I like, you know, the 6th Doctor's TV era, but it's famous for every script being bad except, like, 2. It's very much like Chibnall. Not to the extreme of Chibnall's era, although there is a hilarious interview from when Colin Baker's last series came out, The 6th Doctor, where they interviewed the Doctor Who Appreciation Club, because, you know, Doctor Who is big in the UK, about, like, how the show was kind of failing ratings. They'd been on hiatus. They'd, like, almost canceled it. It was, like, an 18-month break. In fact, they tried to cancel it, but it was, like, too much backlash. And then this was the beginning of the end times for the classic era. But anyway, there is an amazing interview with Chris Chibnall that, because he was on the Doctor Who Appreciation Society as, you know, a teen, absolutely ripping apart the Trial of a Time Lord, which, I'd be clear, it's got, like, pacing issues. The ending, because of extenuating circumstances, had to be totally rewritten without knowledge of what the original ending was. It's not the best, but it's, like, fine. You know, it's a solid enough season of 80s Who, where he rips apart. It's like, the plots don't make sense. It was childish. You know, it's not really Doctor Who. I don't know what they're thinking. It's like, oh, Chris. Chris, in a few decades, you are going to learn a hard lesson on regret. God. It's like every criticism that people throwed against his era, but his era was worse. It's a glorious sign. It's like, Chris, I know it's decades late, but you have now learned a lesson to never critique anything in your life. Not publicly, at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it would have been the only thing that could have made it better if he's like, I could have done so much better. Like, literally flat out say it.
Give me the pen. Yeah.
Like, give me the pen, and, like, it'd be, you know, it's, or even just like, I bet even I could write better. And it's like, oh, Chris. I'll have to show it to you sometime, because it's just hilarious to watch, even if you love his era. It's hilarious to watch, because then it's a different kind of humor where, you know, also JNT, the guy in charge of that season, was hated at the time. He kind of grew into hate for various reasons that really don't matter right now but are interesting. So you have a hated showrunner doing a overhated showrunner doing an overhated era where no one's seeing the good that's in there. Where, like, some random fan is just complaining about everything, like some self-proclaimed Doctor Who fan. And that's exactly what Chibnall was, if you like his era. No matter how you spin it, it's a lesson in irony, in regret.
It's beautiful.
Just imagine him on his deathbed, like, Chris, do you have any regrets? It's like, I wish I didn't give that interview.
It's a more fulfilling arc than anything he wrote. Maybe.
It you know, it is. It really. I wonder if he's said anything about that interview since he did there. It's like, he calls up personally, like, he shows up to John Nathan Turner's house if he's still alive, and, like, I am so sorry, John. Please, I didn't realize. I've become everything I hated.
That's so funny.
So do you think he had that moment where he woke up one day, looked in the mirror, he's wearing, like, a loud Hawaiian shirt like John Nathan Turner, he's like, Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, I've become everything. Or he was like at a convention, or probably not a convention, but like he was reading some forum post where someone was like, he's like, this sounds familiar. They're like hating my. No. Just flashes back to 80s Chris Chibnall. He's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, he felt
what
it.
what did I do? He had to have felt it, but oof. You know? Oof. You know, I'll say all the complaints of Chris Chibnall, except for like 3 episodes, mine would have been worse.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't claim to be a writer. That's the difference. But yeah, you know, it's writing's hard. Writing's hard.
Yeah. We'll see how I think I fare up.
I don't. I mean, you might be like, you know, it's all right. It's fun enough. It kind of depends where your threshold of like whatever I can get past that is. That's really what the Chibnall era is a question about.
Gosh.
Like, yeah, the Doctor's morals are messed up, but it's not real, you know. So what? It really depends. It's a question of where that threshold is. So the people who have that really low are enjoying the era, you know.
Yeah.
As well as your threshold of like how much you care about continuity. And so if both those bars are low, then fine, whatever. But I don't think you'll love it. I would be very surprised if you are like, this is great. I would not be the most surprised if you're like, Nathan, I'm not going to show up to these anymore. I'd be disappointed, but if you did that, we'd probably just skip to 14, if I'm being honest. Like, we'll see how the year goes. Because with someone, these are always more fun.
Yeah.
The 5th Star Trek movie is awful, but watching it with my wife, I actually had a good time, which is blasphemy. You know, it's
So wholesome.
it wasn't a good movie, but I at least enjoyed my time, you know?
Yeah.
And like the worst case scenario is that somewhere in like season 12, we both give up and we say, this has become a stream where we laugh at something bad and complain about it. And every week we get together and we just do that. I remember reading something about Torchwood, you know, the adult spin-off, which gets a lot of slack, especially its first 2 seasons. Rightfully so, for being the kind of adult where it's an adult show, so that means we need like sex and drugs and boobs everywhere. I don't actually know if there's nudity in Torchwood. I don't think so. But someone who they'd get together like every Saturday and they'd order pizza and watch Torchwood and just hang out. And at some point in like the start of season 2, I think, or like mid season 1, they realized that none of them were actually there for the Torchwood. They were just there for the pizza to hang out, and they stopped watching Torchwood because none of them liked it. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I get that. I enjoyed Torchwood well enough. I'm glad I watched it. I still need to watch season 3. Like, that'll be the worst part. There's someone who's been watching this or will watch this and watches all of them like gripping because they love my Doctor Who opinions. I'm the only ranking Doctor Who made the perfect list, you know. But I got totally derailed by a joke that I thought was funny and then didn't make because I saw the thumbnail that people have been staring at on the video and went, they're just totally infatuated with how cute my thumbnail characters are because they're very cute eyes in this. But I think my wife even called the file like 10 cute or something. And I'm like, that's kind of weird when it's me. It's when like some of the masters get together and it's like, is it weird that I'm into... Yes it is. But what was the original point? Torchwood. Oh yeah, they're like, no, Children of Earth is amazing, please watch Torchwood. And they're like strung on for 5 years until I like eventually watch Children of Earth, which I hear is genuinely amazing, and like some of the most harrowing 5 hours of television ever put to screen. It's when Russell T Davies steps up and replaces Chibnall as the showrunner, believe it or not. I wonder if that's related. But actually, I shouldn't say that, given how the new time this happened, where Russell T Davies stood up and replaced Chibnall in Doctor Who, hasn't gone as well. But it's 5 hours, so I can do that in a day. and it
Yeah.
sounds traumatic enough that I'm probably going to want to resolve it in a day. So I need a time where early in the morning I wake up and go, I've got 5 hours. I want to wreck myself.
Yeah.
I vaguely know the premise of Children of Earth, but I'm otherwise unspoiled. And it's like, I need a 5. And every time in the afternoon, I'm like, but I don't have 5 hours. And I can't watch. I'm going to forget, like, the whole cast or something. But yeah, I need to watch Torchwood, Children of Earth, which is apparently the best one.
Now's a good time that we just set it up on this episode.
Then it'll be 7 though, and like, I don't remember what, but oh yeah, I wanted to start the script. I actually see, can I rank the Doctors in a way I'm satisfied with? Because I actually don't know. How do I even compare like the 2nd and 12th Doctors? How does 4 compare to literally anyone? Some of them I can vibe and be like, yeah, no, 4 goes above or below them. But like, how does 4 and 10 compare? I don't know how much I like 10, but like he kind of feels like he goes high in the list, but that kind of feels like a disservice to everyone else, but I don't know. I feel like
this week we found a Torchwood this week. Next week we'll be moving on to K9. So this is the one time you gotta binge it.
I feel like the like top few rankings of the Doctor are all gonna feel wrong, because I'm very much like I don't have favorites. I feel like, especially number 1, like saying anyone is number 1, I'm like, that's not quite right, because up there I feel like you're all great at different things, and like it feels weird to say the 3rd Doctor was better or worse than the 2nd, because they're both great, but they're so opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, I can't think of 2 more different incarnations, even though they're right next to each other. I guess that's kind of the point. So, like, how do I even say one is better? I like them both. It's, by the way, I don't know if they're 1 and 2. That's just an example of 2 Doctors. They could be, like, bottom of the list when I actually write it out. But those are 2 that at some point I'm going to have to sit down. They're probably close together. I'm going to have to sit down and go, okay, which one of you is better? And like, if I find a Doctor that's better than 2 but worse than 3, does that mean that 3 is better than 2? The worst case is I find like 12 is random numbers. 12 is better than 2. 3 is better than 12. 2 is better than 3.
You could. Have you ever seen those like
tier lists?
No, they're like political spectrum graphs.
I think I kind of know what you're meaning.
You could put the Doctors. You could figure out like 4 words.
Like not the line.
Not the linear
right?
ones,
Okay.
but the cubes, and you could pin each Doctor's area. I don't know. I'm spitball.
That could help, but I feel like I don't want to categorize the Doctors. I mean, I kind of have to, because for one, I'm writing a script to define a Doctor and then to defend my placement of them.
Yeah.
But like, I want a list. I want a list. I want this 3D like scatter plot graph that no one can read between individual freedom, economic freedom, and degree of democracy.
Right.
What is... Oh, I thought the corner was the other... No, what is your max individual freedom, max economic freedom, 0 democracy? What is that? Is that communism? Because there's no government in communism, or is communism max democracy or minimum democracy, or is it both? Because there's no government at all.
We've devolved into.
No. In true communism, there's no government. So that means there's like got to be 0 democracy but there's no government, so it's only the people, and surely that is like the definition of democracy. Even though there's no government.
Close your eyes and imagine this. Okay. You're scrolling through YouTube and you see 3 months from now and you see this.
No,
previously
you're doing
Doctor
it
Who stream
right now.
And you go, You go, oh, I want to click on that and watch it, and you click on
Yeah.
it, and it's hello everyone, welcome
Yeah.
to the Doctor, and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna skip in a little bit, and you click a
Well,
little too
I'm gonna
far.
skip in 2 hours.
And
into
we're talking about communism on the political 3D spectrum.
I like the idea of someone watching it literally 30 seconds ago, and they see Doctor Who live stream live, like, oh, let's see where they're in. And then we're talking about, like, if communism is max or min democracy. And bear in mind, they can't see what you're seeing. They're looking at still the random thumbnail of, like, the instructions on how to watch the episode.
Oh, God.
But,
So
funny. Man, this is a question for the ages. Is poll in chat. I don't care when you're watching this. It could be like 500 years from now, and I'm long dead. But I want you to put in the comments if communism is max democracy or min democracy. I think it might be both. I think we might loop. You know that thing where they say the far left and the far right are like the same thing? I think that's what happened, is like democracy is just a big loop. And when you get over to 0 or 1 democracy, it's the same thing. It's just communism. Everything is just somewhere on the scale of communism. That's what we've learned today. And on that note, I think we should wrap up. You're dead. We probably could have finished the whole season between today and yesterday. Definitely could have finished it between the past, like, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
But instead, I'm just gonna love your react. That's my new favorite thing you've done. Is like kind of, I'm interested, Sarah Jane, but then K9, who you've never seen, you were like, K9 is in this episode.
Oh
yeah,
like, no, I can't wait.
Oh yeah, it's I think Alex loved K9, the idea, and then I made them hear their voice, or they walked in when I was watching an episode, and they didn't realize K9 spoke, in like a posh British voice. And that really put him off K9 for a while. But I was like, no, Alex, it's great. But they've come back because it was the expectation thing, you know? They didn't expect like a posh British dog, but
understandable, yeah.
But I do want to end on the communism note, even if we keep.
Yeah,
talking,
no, that was perfect.
I'm gonna say thank you all very much for watching. And what's
bye bye.
What do they say in like communism?
I tried to go early that time, and then you derailed back into communism.
Every time I end stream, I always berate Caden for how he doesn't go with me; he goes after me, and like he would intentionally wait a tiny bit and then do it. So it's like I don't even know if I should end the stream or just wait for it. And so yeah, you tried to go early.
Oh man!
Thank you all for watching. And I'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.